Hello, welcome to the channel of Hashaliak again. I didn't expect to be on as quickly as this, but I just want to bring something for your attention, for you to meditate on, something I believe the Lord gave me just not long ago, and it really jumped out at me. So I want to try and make this quick. I believe it is a prophetic word, but I will submit it to you and you decide. Now, I've got a number of Bibles here because I read these scriptures in different versions. I want to try and get a flavour of what I believe the Lord was saying. So I am very quickly going to go through and read a number of versions to you and then just talk about what I believe the Lord was speaking. So in Proverbs chapter 30, this is what I was just studying earlier on. Proverbs chapter 30. So let me just get there. Proverbs 30 and verses 21 to 23. For 3 things the earth is perturbed. Yes, for 4 it cannot bear up. For a servant when he reigns, a fool when he is filled with food, a hateful woman when she is married, and a maidservant who succeeds her mistress. That is the New King James Version. The Amplified Bible. Forgive me as I try and get through these quickly. The Amplified Bible, Proverbs 30, 21 to 23. Under 3 things the earth is disquieted and quakes, and under 4 it cannot bear up. Under a servant when he reigns, under a spiritually blind fool when he is filled with food, under an unloved woman when she gets married, and under a maidservant when she supplants her mistress. The Complete Jewish Study Bible. Proverbs 30, 21 to 23. 3 things make the earth quake, 4 things it can't bear. A slave who becomes king, a boor gorged with food, a hated wife when her husband takes her back, and a slave girl who inherits from her mistress. And I believe this is the NLT version. Yes, it is. There are 3 things that make the earth tremble. No, 4 it cannot endure. A slave who becomes a king, an overbearing fool who prospers, a bitter woman who finally gets a husband, a servant girl who supplants her mistress. What I'm really looking at is in verse 21 it says there are 3 things that make the earth tremble or quake. No, 4 it cannot endure, can't cope. And in the second part of verse 23 it talks about a servant girl who supplants her mistress. Immediately when I was reading those verses, the story of Abraham and Sarah and Hagar came to me. And in Genesis 16, let me read this. Now, verse 1. Now Sarah, Abraham's wife, had not been able to bear children for him, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So Sarai said to Abraham, "The Lord has prevented me from having children. Go and sleep with my servant. Perhaps I can have children through her." And Abraham agreed with Sarai's proposal. So Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abraham as a wife. This happened 10 years after Abraham had settled in the land of Canaan. So Abraham had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress Sarai with contempt. Then Sarai said to Abraham, "This is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she's pregnant, she treats me with contempt. The Lord will show who's wrong, you or me." Abraham replied, "Look, she is your servant, so deal with her as you see fit." Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. Depending which version you read, in that Genesis chapter 16, you see Hagar referred to as maidservant, handmaiden, servant. But for a brief period of time, you could say Hagar had supplanted her mistress, in the sense that Sarai believed that she couldn't have children, even though it had been promised by the Lord. And so they tried to make things happen. And so for that period of time, Hagar supplanted Sarah. And she gave birth to Ishmael. Now, if you read in the Quran, it teaches that Ishmael was the sacrifice that Abraham was going to carry out, that Ishmael was the son, and not Isaac, as we read in the Old Testament. Isaac being the son of promise and the lineage of the Jews. But the Quran teaches that Ishmael was the son to be sacrificed, and Islam can trace its lineage all the way back there. Indeed, many believe that Muhammad is directly related to Ishmael. Now, this is not an attack on any other religion. I'm just giving you what I believe God was speaking to me. And I felt an unction to just make a video and put this out and just submit it to you for your own thoughts. But in verse 21 of Proverbs 30, it does say there are 3 things that make the earth quake, and 4 where the earth cannot endure, can't cope. Now, there's a lot of trouble in the Middle East at the moment, but it's not just the Middle East. We're seeing a lot of things happen all over Europe, real turmoil. Europe, the United Kingdom, Australia, many other countries. There's a lot of problems. The United States, there's a lot of stories coming out now about certain groups, cells, that are about to be activated to rise up. The earth's going to shake, and the earth's not going to be able to deal with this. It's going to react violently. Now, I'm talking spiritually, but we will also see physical manifestations of this. When a mistress is supplanted by her servant, or sorry, a servant supplants her mistress. This is what I believe the Lord brought to me. I think we're about to see a lot of turmoil. A lot of turmoil. We all need to be praying. All of us need to be praying. Listen to this message again, because I don't want to make it a long message, so just listen to it again and see what I've read and what I've said. We need to be praying. So I humbly submit it to you for your attention. God bless you and thank you for listening.